I did my nails. I can't open my fucking can.
Ow. So I hear we're in for a story.
Friends. And I call you friends now. Will we still be friends by the end of this story? I don't know. Now, I've spoken to you at length about the times that the podcast has seeped over from just a party for my ears and affected my real life. See previously the Yakety Sax hot tub story et al. Okay? In this essay, I will tell you how you've ruined my life. But friends, you might have taken the cake this weekend. So I was maid of honor in my best friend's wedding. It was so exciting.
Hold on. Who are you, Cameron Diaz? No, I'm sorry. Who are you, Julia Roberts? Who are you, Rupert Everett?
I'm Rupert Everett. Let's be real. I'm Rupert Everett. And it was like a COVID postponed wedding. Like there's like a lot of emotions riding on it, and like if I may say so, my speech was very good. And I practiced it hither and yon. I practiced it on FaceTime with my mom. I practiced it in real life with Jeff. I practiced it alone in my bathroom. I practiced it like I'm going to have 2 glasses of wine and then do it because that's how it's going to be on the day. Like I was smart, ready. I am a professional.
You were ready to say a little prayer for you kind of thing? Best friend's wedding?
Yeah.
No?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We got it.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes,
it's not a Janine joke unless I have to overplay it because I'm an asshole.
The lobster dancers, the lobsters were there. They were there in the background, gassing me up. The twins in the straw hat appeared. So what I had not anticipated was like getting up there to give the speech that I was like born to give, ready to say things like, I've known the bride since her 3rd day on the planet, and now let me tell you some fun jokes. Okay, fine. No, what I wasn't ready for was the feelings. The feelings, they found me. It was big like Lizzie Bennett losing her shit at the thought of her sister Jane not being happy. Like big feelings. I wasn't ready, and I got really like choked up about it in a way that I had not anticipated. I had to restart it from the top. So I only got like 1 paragraph in, and I was like, I'm crying. Let's do this again. And it was fine, but here's the thing. There was one moment where I almost lost it again. I promise this is worth it, everybody. This is a bigger setup than I
Welcome to Sick Burn Jane, a Probably podcast. I'm Alison.
I'm Julie.
That's Janine.
Hey.
And now I'm going to hand it over to special guest host Amelia Bazell for the conclusion of her story before we get into her PP. Amelia.
Thank you. So, TLDR, I used to dress up as Mary Poppins and try to trick my friend, because she's younger than I am, into thinking I was the real Mary Poppins. And so the word acting came up in my speech. And it was one of those moments where like the throat closed up. It was very like Leslie Knope trying to get through the words. And there was a moment, and I was able to cover it up with like a sniffle, where I almost said jacting. It was like Fitzherbert, Tits Pervert, Bridget Jones, the launch of Kafka's motorbike. I almost said jacting in a maid of honor speech, and it's all your fault, and I don't know what to do about this, but that's a truth that I lived, and I had to tell you immediately. So
that's a part of your life. That's a part of your life now.
Yeah.
That's a part of my life now.
I like to imagine all the people at what I assume to be this lovely wedding just all of a sudden say, Did she just say jacting? What does that mean?
What is that?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't, but that is hilarious.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Also, I don't know if I will be invited back to Emma, probably, but what if? I don't know. How many threats do I get? So while I'm still in wedding corner, because yes, that's the part of the notes that are in front of me, I would just like it on the record that for my own wedding next year, the Emma opening theme is currently slated to be my processional, and there will not be a dry eye in the house if you're an Emma stan. So get ready for that, baby. Oh, friends. Oh, wow. Just wow. Okay. We have. I mean, the golden butthole of all golden buttholes. Let's just go there, because we started. The dueling pianos ended. Frank Churchill rolled in. And then the golden butthole. Let's just start with the golden butthole. How much do you love her?
Oh my God!
I
What a piece of shit.
assume you speak of Mrs.
Mrs.
Alton,
E.
one of the great buttholes in literature, who is also one of the great buttholes, the great butthole of the, and there are a lot of buttholes in this movie, including our protagonist. But God, she's really just the worst in this movie. And that direct take to camera wanted to punch right through the screen. Just pop her right in the nose.
I wrote her name down because I refuse to not respect her name for the rest of this. So, Juliet Stevenson, you're the shit. Can I just tell you that your acting eating is incredibly brilliant?
Incredible.
Like, she's stuffing her face all the time, talking through it, the timing of it, the way she does it, that takes a lot of skill, and she's very good.
The deep inhale through her nose in the middle of all that, like, was just like, she was just, every piece of her was adding to this fucking puckering butthole.
Fucking talking over him. Oh, God. It was like a little mini orgasm every time she did it. It's like, oh, yeah. Do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she was great.
I mean,
she was really great.
I did write down, should I try to eat a rice cake and do a Mrs. Elton impression? But I've been talking a lot. I mean, oh God, there are so many things in Mrs. Elton Corner that are just, okay. How about how she, like, no one asked her, Mrs. Elton, why are you so old to be a newlywed? No one asked her, but you can tell that she's really self-conscious about it. And so then when Emma has her over for tea, and she talks about, like, I can even accept a smaller house. My house before was a good deal roomier. But no, without music. Or no, because I've had so many resources in here. Literally, justice to her heart. But, but said I, without music, my life would be a blank. And why we form a musical club? But, like, I love the idea that she is trying to suggest that, like, I have so many resources in here. I did not need to marry. I'm surely just like a late bloomer because I was in the mood. No, you weren't. Everyone hates you, but you tried to cover it up, and I love that.
I forgot this in the book because I'm almost to meeting her in the book. I haven't met her yet.
Okay. Oh God.
And this is my second reading, so I have met her one time. Do they talk about it? Does Jane Austen refer to the fact that she's older? Is that something? Is it just that she's a terrible person that nobody wanted, even though she was wealthy?
I think it's that she's wealthy, but she's not of any sort of noble. Like, she's a new money,
like a merchant. Yeah,
and it's because she. Yeah, and also she's incredibly gauche, right? Like, she's not
talking with her mouth full.
Oh my God. Yeah.
She's so good at it.
To your point about the food acting, the facting?
Facting?
No.
No.
Consuming food. So, nope, not going to go. Nope.
No.
Chewing? Chacting?
Chacting is pretty good.
Chacting.
There we go.
I wonder if Jeannie Simpson studied at the Juliet Stevenson School of Chacting.
She was also very good at it.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Her biting out of that muffin is like, is to Mrs. Elton in this movie what I'm poor is to all of the other Mr. Wickhams. Yeah, gosh, I know I mentioned this in the last podcast, but she's also a great audiobook narrator, and she does there are a couple different Austen adaptations, and she's just so fucking funny. Just like really, really good. So check that out. But I have to admit, I find it, even knowing that we've got some truly great Emma adaptations ahead, and we do some really, really good ones, I find it hard to imagine that the next time we do a platinum pooper for Emma, that it's not going to be her. Although we said the same thing about Mr. Collins, right? So or about David Bamber. So who knows?
I mean, the pair up matters, right? Like how you line it up, that's going to matter. But she is so goddamn fucking
from
good.
the first moment it's also great costuming which I'm sure hopefully a friend of the show, Emma Fraser, is going to be able is going to be able to join us. But from the first moment you see her, you're like, oh, you're the worst. And it's because of that hat, but it's also because of your personality.
Yeah, man.
That hat felt like a 2x4 just waiting to hit someone in the fucking face.
Janine, I'm so curious when you get to when you get to reading the book, which you should, and now I'm
Yeah.
guessing you think you would have an easier time with it, right? Now that you
Yes, because now that I know the beats, yeah.
there are all kinds of butthole moments that that you can't put into every adaptation, right? Like there are these little things that I think this adaptation does a really good job of making her so awful that you don't need all those details. Like there's a moment in the book when Emma sees Mrs. Elton telling Mr. Elton to snub Harriet. And it just like fills you with rage. And you don't need to see it because you just know that she's the fucking worst. She's so awful. Also,
What a fun part to
same
play.
scene. She says she's going to pick Jane up in her carriage, and then she forgets her. Because
What a
Jane
shitty person.
Fairfax, she's pretty close to a non-entity in this movie. It's something's got to go, and that's the storyline that really they sort of leave Jane out in the cold, a lot like Mrs. Elton, leaving Jane out in the cold.
Yeah, that was
Thanks.
good. Yeah.
Thank you, Janine. But and now I've lost my train of thought. I got distracted by my Janine joke, and then I started down a spiral of self-loathing. Back to you, guest host.
Seems right.
Just while we're reveling in Mrs. Elton corner, and then I did take just kind of some stream of consciousness notes, so maybe I will try to like pull a Julie in a Podlander
please.
sense of, and then this happened. Although
Yeah.
to quote Act 1 of the movie Emma, I could never presume to guide her as you did me, but I hope to impart a little of what I know. But first, before we really, so Julie,
This is like reading an article with like the quotes pulled out. You're fucking good at this.
it's all in here, baby. It's all in here. It's a fucking
You've been preparing
sickness.
for this almost your whole life.
Almost my whole life, the majority of my life. And some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this. Okay, one more. I know a lot of natural Mrs. Elton being a butthole is going to come out, and we're talking. But just I want to make sure we don't forget this one bit that I find just so delicious.
Yeah.
Where they're at the party, and it's Jane. You're a very, very fragile creature, and all the way she's like slapping her on.
Like
Kind of
Pay
hard.
no regard. You pay no regard to the delicacy of your constitution, Jane.
tapping her on the forehead
sad
almost.
girl.
Like what a shit interaction. Oh my god.
I love her.
Very fragile creature. Okay, but yes, so we get through the dueling pianos. Mrs. Elton shows up. Right before Mrs. Elton shows up, Frank Churchill comes over and kind of implies that maybe he has a secret that he would like to share with Emma, who always made me feel so at home. Quite a friend since my very arrival. It no longer feels honorable to hide from you. Here's a fun fact that I didn't catch until this watch through with help from the like tidbit corner from the Bezos's streaming platform. In that scene where Frank is like, gotta go, got a secret, oops, dad's here, gotta go, bye. His wig changes lengths. He shows up and his wig's pretty short. And then if you look it back again, like the wig is longer. So like
Awesome.
So like
What?
let's pretend it's like a Rip Van Winkle thing of like he's drew out his secret for so long. But like go back and watch it. Gentle listener, it's around the like hour and 4-minute mark or something like that. I can't
Maybe
unsee
it's-
it. Now
Maybe
you
it's
can't
a
unsee it.
reverse
That's so
Pinocchio
hilarious.
situation where Frank Churchill tells
Yeah.
the truth so infrequently that when he's preparing to tell the truth, his hair grows 6 inches. Because wow, Frank Churchill also the worst, just the worst.
Yes.
The worst.
Also the worst.
Just the worst. Just a terrible
I mean,
boy.
really, Ewan McGregor does a very good job of making himself wholly unattractive, despite the fact that he is a verified Stone Cold Fox. Just
Yeah.
like, no, wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Absolutely not. Harriet Smith has great taste. Great taste. The only people she is interested in that Emma has nothing to do with are the 2 men in the whole movie who can get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it's true. Yeah, she's got a really good barometer for that. Good for her.
We when Amelia and I fell down our Bridget Jones wormhole and did the Bridget Jones redacted, we worked in a Harriet Smith rules section specifically because Harriet Smith rules. Anyway, she does.
She does.
Yeah.
She does. Okay, so Frank leaves, and then Mrs. Elton comes to tea. Janine, would you please like to tell us about the awkward silence of the tea? I wrote down how much you loved it.
I love that. That was like some of the best film work of an awkward silence, right? Because it was just this. They just didn't, and kudos to them for having it's film, and so they're like just burning film while they just sat there in silence, not knowing what to fucking say to each other because she had two buttholes sitting on her fucking couch. She didn't want to deal with them. It was good.
I loved Gwyneth Paltrow's acting in that scene because the sheer force of her hatred couldn't help but just leak out of her. And the note that I wrote was, there was one eye roll in particular that really got me. And I said, Goop eye rolls are organic and artisanally sourced. Because it was natural and felt real. And it also absolutely no attempt to try and hide it at all.
Yeah.
Just like looking at the person and going, like,
Is it when she says,
it's what I wanted to do
Nightly.
waiting tables for so many years.
nightly?
I've never even
How
seen him before.
dare
Is he
you.
Nightly? Yeah. I also love when more good Gwyneth acting. There's that runner where they're giving the tour of the house and they come into the room where Mr. Mr. Woodhouse is sleeping.
Oh, Mr. Woodhouse, sorry, yeah.
I almost said Wes, and I was like, no, this is your movie. You can't.
And then
no.
I did it. Yeah.
And then it happened. But yeah, where Mr. Woodhouse is sleeping, and it's like, oh, you should try bath. It will do him a world of good. He's tried bath before without receiving any benefit. No, it will do him good. A line from me, and you'll have the best society, whatever. But then she goes on to say, like, it can only help to lift his spirits, which I understand are often quite depressed. And you see Emma looking at Mr. Elton to be like, you betrayed priest and patient confidentiality. You are like HIPAA violating the shit out of the clergy right now and told your fucking wife that my dad is depressed. And like, she looks at him like, I'm going to murder you. And he looks at her like, whoops. And it's just delicious.
Every time, speaking of the most mortifying house tour in the history of house tours, every time that Alan Cumming opened his mouth to speak and Juliet Stevenson spoke instead, they were both so, like, it felt so organic. I don't know what the script looked like on those pages, but it really feels like he doesn't exist anymore. It's great. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's what he deserves.
Which is why that awkward moment works so well, because you're just seeing like him go, I can't say anything because if I start saying, she's going to say something and no one gives a fuck. And then she's going, I can't bowl over Emma at all. She fucking hates me. What am I going to do here? And they were both getting what they deserved. Two buttholes on a couch.
I love there's something so honest about the Mrs. Elton progression of, well, my husband was in love with you, so I should hate you, but you are the fanciest person in a 25-mile radius, so clearly we have to be best friends because nobody else is fancy. Just me and you, Emma. We're the only fancy ones. And then when Emma's like, I guess I have to throw her a party or everyone will know I don't like her. Finally, she's like, fuck you. No, you suck. You might be fancy, but I'm fancy too, and I've got a protege. Look at my protege. And poor Jane Fairfax is like, I just want to get married.
Yes, can
Please,
somebody
like,
let me leave?
everybody here sucks. Could someone here not suck? Just anybody. And then Mr. Knightley shows up and is like, yes, I can. Here I am, ready to not suck.
The dance sequence, I love it so much.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
guest host. We'll get
We're
there.
not there
Guest
yet, I
host,
know.
please proceed.
Or we could. Okay. So yes, I'll have to throw a party for her. Fine. We see that cute little scene with Knightley coming to see Miss Taylor, my Sears Tower, and Emma having like tea in the garden, and there are those goldfish bowls.
Those goldfish bowls were amazing. Like I was watching, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, is that a goldfish bowl? Oh, there's
it's
more than
multiple.
one.
Mhm.
I have to like
What the
wonder
fuck?
if
Who's
those
taking care of those goldfish?
I almost wonder if those were more like fancy bird feeders. If they're just sitting out in the garden like that.
Seagull feeders.
Just seagull feeders.
It's such an elegant bird.
So it's like that makes me think of another question because later we see her in that incredible tent that they set up for her when she wants to sit outside without being in
lest
direct
the sun
sunlight.
touch any of her pristine ivory skin.
Right. I mean, goals,
two things you got to
really,
stay away
but-
from when you're Emma: the sun, and vagrants. Can't wait to talk about the vagrants.
Oh my God, I
That
completely
scene
forgot
also
about that
fucking
from the
weird.
book.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
We'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get there. But the density.
The outdoor setups, I always think about the people who have to set them up.
Yeah.
So is it a schedule where Emma's like, on Wednesdays, I'll need the white tent on the south lawn at 1 p.m.? Or do they just like, does Emma come downstairs and go, hey, I'm going to need the goldfish gazebo? Can somebody do that?
That's like, and those things aren't easy to set up. I've set up tents like that in a more modern age, and they're
I think-
fucking horrible.
I think the gazebo itself is stationary, right? They're not messing with that gazebo, but those goldfish bowls can't just hang out there. Those feel like they have to be cared for and carried out and placed.
Which
and
is,
then
by the way,
taken away and
hugely
put away.
traumatic for the goldfish.
Yeah, the goldfish doesn't like it.
Maybe they have an aquarium of goldfish, and they're like, we're going to go sit in the garden today. And they're like, okay. And they fish out a bunch of goldfish, plop them in there, and that's the prep. And then they leave them there because then they become bird food.
Oh my God. That's so
Also,
sad.
like, we know she's so rich, but to be
the
rich enough,
Regency.
I'm guessing goldfish were not like common.
Not everywhere.
So
right?
like,
It's not like she could just go to
wow.
Meijer and get one from the pet department.
Walmart.
Petco.
Um, What I want is a commentary track from the goldfish who witness these interactions, but they hear it all like the teachers in Charlie Brown. Exactly. We're
Yeah.
like, Jane Fairfax. And then the fish are like, fuck this shit. Human beings, what a mess. Wait, what'd they
a
say? I already
mess.
forgot because
What
my
a
brain is
mess.
incredibly tiny.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, it's time for Alison's
Ooh.
expertise corner because there is, when they're in the garden around the goldfish, if you can possibly tear your brain away from the goldfish.
I
Possible.
can't.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Impossible. But then, so you're fixing that I should marry Jane Fairfax. Not at all. You could not come and sit with us if you were married. And I know there were rules about like, yeah, of course, unmarried Mr. Knightley could hang out with married Miss Taylor and Emma in a garden without it being like a weird sex scandal. But I don't remember exactly what the rules were. Like, why is it that a married guy whose, dare I say, sword already has a designated sheath then can, like, why wouldn't that be a safer choice? Like, I know that society was fucked up. I don't remember why married men somehow had fewer freedoms for friendships, and I know that you know, so I'll stop
Well,
talking
I
and
don't
let you
know,
talk.
but I will say that I have always interpreted that perspective from Emma as being that if he was married, he'd be coming with his wife, or would be too busy being married and doing married shit. Being a smug married.
There's also the like patriarchy aspect of this too, where it's like the single women could tempt kind of idea. Where
I think that's what it's supposed to be.
that's a part of that too, which is
Right.
fucked up. Yeah,
But I think it's mainly because Emma's saying from her perspective, she couldn't be
yeah,
hanging out with a married man unsupervised.
yeah.
Well, but
I
she
think
also
that's
couldn't
what it
be
felt
hanging
like to
out with
me.
an unmarried man unsupervised. They're because they are
Right.
related. It's a little different.
They're not
It's-
brother
they're-
and sister.
Paul Ruddin it.
That's the sexiest man alive.
Ooh,
This
he
year.
is too, though. Mm.
And he's a little
It's
Polly
that sense of
Pocket.
humor.
Is he a
I
tiny
didn't.
guy?
I didn't realize that until I was watching episodes of the that psychiatrist show that came out.
Shrink
What is it?
Next
Psychologist
Door.
Next Door. Shrink. Yeah.
Mm.
I finally realized. I don't know what it was. Just somehow realized.
I mean,
he's not
most
a
of
tall
them are
man.
not.
He's
You know who else
Who?
was a Polly Pocket?
Hmm.
Paul Newman.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, I'd keep him
Really?
in several of my pockets.
I'd keep him in every
Hey-o.
pocket I have.
Hey.
R.I.P.
Yeah. All right.
Are we?
All right.
great
Special. Oh,
dressings.
sorry,
Are we
Janine.
going?
What?
Well, I really want to talk about the dance. Are we getting close to that yet?
Oh, yes. Okay. We're almost at we're one question away before we just go ham on the dance.
Sweet.
I need a moment. We need to talk about it. I know that you've enjoyed how the editors have had fun with adding their own jokes through cuts.
Yeah.
How did we feel about Mr. Knightley, after saying, I'd rather fetch that stick after throwing it for the dog, and then he goes, I'd rather stay here where it's cozy. And then there's the cut to Donwell Abbey behind them. It's not a cozy ass house. Did we like that joke?
Was that the camera movement?
Well, the composition of the frame changed so that their heads were sort of at the bottom of the frame, and then the house was looming behind them.
Yeah.
Where it's cozy.
Yeah. There was so many weird camera movements in this one. I like it made me feel very weird. Where I was like, bros, chill the fuck out. This felt very 90s. We're like, we've got a dolly. Hey, set up the dolly. We're gonna do the dolly
it's
shot.
Just because
next.
they couldn't do the drone shots yet.
That's true, and they would have done a fuck ton of drone shots.
I bet they would have.
I bet they would have done that.
Oh, you know what? Then it would have been.
I want
to stay here where it's cozy, and then the drone zooms way out, and we see the extensive grounds. Because people with extensive grounds love to visit other people with extensive grounds.
Other people with extensive grounds.
I like the next step of that drone shot because then the drone would go up and it'd be a one shot that comes straight down into a chase of the carriage where she's now being chased by the vagrants.
That's kind of like the 2019 version, to be honest.
Let's dance.
Wow. I have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's do it.
This is a free skate. I'm announcing a free skate. We're talking about the dance. It is a free-form discussion.
Point one.
Please take it away.
I love
everybody.
that actors are good and dancers are good, right? Because the nature of the movement and the interpretation of the musicians, it's also a playing aspect, makes the fact that the first Lizzie Darcy dance in My PP in the miniseries, that's the same song and the same dance as the one that Janine is talking about, as the Knightley Emma dance.
Oh, no
it's
shit.
The exact same.
Oh.
I wish I could tell you what it is. Well, let's pretend it's the quadrille. I don't know. It's one of those things. But it's the same thing, only in the miniseries, it's very, it's still hot because they're mad at each other, right? There's a lot of
there's so
coming
much
back together
hotness
and
coming out of their eyes.
Like lots of that,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
here it's the swooping and the circling, and Gwyneth is very good at it. She's very good at it.
It was so sensual.
Borderline pornographic.
Fuck. Yeah.
I think the 2019 one is hotter.
Oh, God. I'm going to fucking need a blanket.
This one is hot, and I loved when their hands would just miss each other, but because the shot was usually mid-range on it so that you could actually see everybody dancing. In the 2019 version, it's more focused in on Knightley and Emma, and there's a distinct sexual crackle that happens when they touch each other the first time that is very specific.
I bet that has something to do with the technology of the cameras and stuff. Because by 2019 they had smaller, more maneuverable cameras than maybe what they had here. But
I just love a group dance, and I'm here for all of them. Truly,
this the fact that they kept that static camera and then they did all of this fucking sexy ass thing that I'm reacting to with just a static camera shot. Mm-hmm. I am fucking impressed. Alison said a lot about that, about how they all did that. They were so good.
And also Emma and Knightley dancing, can we just talk about what an absolute unit Knightley is for asking Harriet to dance?
Yeah.
It's really
it's a great moment.
Yeah.
Because he's already told Emma that he hates dancing, right? And then he shows up at this party, and the first thing he does is come in and rescue Harriet from a humiliating social situation.
And
it's really
the layers
lovely.
have layers. He's not just rescuing Harriet from a mortifying social situation. He is rescuing Harriet and Emma and Mrs. Weston, all of whom are being directly insulted by what the Eltons are doing, right? Well, Emma, I guess, indirectly. But Mr. Elton saying no to the hostess, being like, no, I don't think I'll dance with that miserable woman. Fuck that bitch. It's incredibly insulting. It's so immature, and I get it. I have my moments of petty bitch, and Mr. Elton is definitely a petty bitch, but so he's rescuing her especially, that he's rescuing all of them. And Toni Collette,
Yeah.
it's like somebody turns a light bulb on inside her. She's just so happy and honored and grateful and like God, breaking. Toni Collette, good.
Yeah, I actually have a note later that says Toni Collette is a gift to us all.
She really is. And the way they edited it too with the sound and the way the dance broke in that one moment, and they were the featured couple, and then the orchestra was just so much more full. Like you could not help.
And you get this there's
the
this
elation.
lovely little moment between Emma and Harriet when Harriet ends up next to her when she's joined the Jans, where she's like, "See, we got it. That's good. It's good. See, you're all right."
Yeah.
Oh,
It's so much better.
Oh,
so
God.
sweet.
I noticed the costumes really for the first time in this dance sequence because the costumes are lovely, but they're not really jumping out at me a lot except for Mrs. E and Mrs. Bates. But when Knightley and Emma have their dance at the end of the night, I noticed that everybody else, all the women were in shades of pink and rose. And she was in ivory, so she stood out. So you can have this whole group dance happening, but Knightley and Emma like remain separated, even though everybody's all together. And I thought that was a really cool move.
I think that's a really well organized thing too, with the way they were shooting it in that static shot to keep them still the focus without doing framing or different lighting techniques.
Yeah, the costumes went a long way because it really was everybody else kind of matched each other and they were separate. And I thought that was cool. I just love the social dancing. I'm never mad at any of it. I like some better than others, but it's always amazing. It's just interesting to think about what it would have been like to be alive at that time and like have to know all those dances first of all, know all the like customs and shit. And it's always
you'd need a dancing master.
And
yes.
And the expression that goes into it, right? Not just for our sake as the people watching it, but also like what you're trying to tell your dance partner by the effort you're putting into it and the way you're going about it. And fucking Emma and Knightley, man, get a room. Good God.
Wait for 2019.
Oh yeah, wait for 2019. Oh my God, it's so hot. But Janine,
Can't wait.
may I please do an impression of you during the crowdcast?
Sure.
Here's what Janine said. I have to get my notes exactly right. And the accent is part of it. The accent choice, incredible. So in response to the Knightley Emma dance, is that they a budding couple they are? So Janine yelled across his living room.
I saw you laughing at that. I had to mute my computer because we were like a second apart. And I saw you lose your shit, and that must have been what that was.
I had not muted my computer, but I had it down. So I only really heard Janine when he went, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, is that they?" Oh, that's amazing. I wish I'd heard that.
Budding couple.
Please, sir, may I have a budding couple? Can I have a couple?
Best couple more.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just
So
And
this
that was they. For goodness.
this dance was at the
Well.
Weston's house, correct?
So
Yes.
it's actually at the hall that hasn't been used for dances in a long time. But when Frank Churchill comes to town, they all get it in their heads that the best way for them to have a dance is if they take the old hotel and they do it all up right, which is why they're so distressed when Frank has to go take care of his sick aunt, who then dies. That's all I'm saying.
We need that spin-off. What Frank does on his trip away.
This was missing something from the book that I found fascinating, which was when the Westons threw the party, Emma was not the Weston. Was it the Westons where she's like, I can't go?
That's the Coles.
it's the Coles.
The
That's
Coles,
the
I'm
dueling
sorry.
piano party. Yeah.
The dueling piano party, because we didn't really get that in this adaptation. But she goes through this whole thing of trying to make everybody talk her into deigning to accept their invitation, because technically speaking, she should not attend a party thrown by the Coles because they are beneath her. And it's very specific. And I was like, oh, they kind of
No,
left that.
that's
they
in
kinda
there.
left that out.
It's just in part one.
Yeah.
because
She's like monitoring the
because
mail.
She
Yeah.
needs
Oh,
to
that's
decline
right.
the invitation, but they haven't invited her yet.
Yes. Okay, cool.
So then
I
she
think I
does.
got
So
it
that
mixed
no,
up in my timeline
the
about
Westons.
which
The
party
thing
it
that
was.
the
Yeah.
thing that happens in the book at the Westons is that they intend for her to open the dance with Frank. They must open the dance together. Only then they realize that Mrs. Elton, who is talking to Blue Streak about how the dance, it's obviously been thrown to honor her. They're like, well, I mean, I think that she thinks that this party's for her. So if we don't have her open it, she's going to be offended. And Frank, in maybe the only moment in the whole book that makes me like him, is like, I'm not dancing with that bitch. You can. I'm not. I'm dancing with Emma. I'm not dancing with her. If she's starting it, that's fine. But she's not dancing with me. Nope. No, sir. Because he rightly hates her because she's such a dick to poor Jane.
Yeah.
Delicate.
Yeah.
Slap.
Very, very gentle creature. There's a little bit of that in the 2019 too, which is exciting. Okay, friends, the dance ends. It's happened. Cackles of sex electricity have been exchanged, and now Harriet and Emma are walking down the lovely wooden lane. When what
the
happens?
fuck is this about? Why?
This scene made me so.
It's
I had
really
so
like-
many conflicting feelings about that scene.
Okay,
makes
so
no
first of all,
sense.
in the back, it's. I'm using the word from the book, gypsies. Second, Harriet is by herself. It's less confusing when Harriet is walking by herself and a bunch of strange dudes are like, look at that unaccompanied woman. I bet that we could get her purse off of her, and also who knows what else, right? Because hello, that's still the reality, right? It's much
That's
more
life.
confusing when Emma is there, and the way that it's shot, they like walk past and they glimpse, and it's not that they start following them; it's that they're like, oh no, pores, pores. Let's walk. Let's just keep walking.
Let's walk a touch
Get
more
away from the
quickly. Yeah.
pores.
Yeah. And then
And then when the pores are there, Harriet stops, drops, and rolls. Like as soon as they're nearby, she just falls to the ground because that's a sensible reaction. Harriet Smith needed a true crime podcast.
Harriet,
we have
walk
failed
with your
her.
keys in your
and
hand.
when they did,
keys in your hand.
and when they did like start attacking, they were like, "Let's get her purse and whatever." But then they were
Yeah.
only focused on Harriet, which was
Yeah,
weird.
none of them were touching Emma.
Well, they were like pulling Emma away, but not trying to get shit from Emma, and that was all very weird. And then it was like not. It was like men
then,
and women, so that also was weird.
I
and it
want
was
to
like, why-
paraphrase Amelia's chat comment from the Crowdcast, and then, oh no, a fop scatter.
Yeah, because he does just kind of show up with his stick and is like, "Be gone," and then
Yeah,
he
he
just
just-
leave.
just leaves that poor woman alone, and then they all stop, and he puts out his hand, and
His
for like,
chamois gloved hand.
and then we get this weird transition, and it's just like, is that it? They were like, oh, a landed gentleman. We must stop now.
Yeah, it's
Goodness gracious.
stupid.
If we do
Fuck
not
us.
back away,
Yeah, it
he
was
may
terrible.
strike us with his walking stick.
Oh, for shame.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a
It was
couple?
fucking weird.
It's fucking weird.
Is that they?
Is that they?
Poor people.
A
All
budding
right,
couple.
take us away, guest host.
People. Okay, so then next. Okay, so then after like, oh, I've been taken to the Woodhouses to convalesce. Oh, I must take my leave of you. I'm Frank Churchill. I have to go make out with Jane, but you don't know that. Then we go to the party for Mrs.
Oh, hold
Elton.
on.
The lovely,
Hold on.
lovely
No, you
picnic.
cannot skip
You forgot
my
something? You
very
forgot something.
favorite scene in every Emma adaptation, which is when Harriet Smith is like,
Bring it.
I have to get rid of the stuff that I saved.
Harriet
Oh.
Smith's most precious treasures. Remember, it was knit. It was like embroidered on her little pouch.
Is that what that said on the pouch?
Yes, it said
Oh
Harriet
my
Smith's most
God.
precious treasures, dude.
I would have been much more judgmental in that scene. That was
Oh,
already
so
stopping
cute.
myself from being
No.
judgmental.
Oh, I
Then
scrolled too far. Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
then she
sorry
was
about
trying
that.
to
Thank you. Good
set
save.
shit on fire. Oh, I love it. And there was a
Oh, yeah.
Band-Aid. essentially a Band-Aid.
She saved it. She saved the clippings of a Band-Aid.
And
so
a
no
little
blood.
nub of
No,
a
but
pencil.
Have you
That
guys
she
ever done
held.
that to something
This
from an
was
ex?
really his.
Yes, this is why I'm so judgmental because I'm disappointed in myself.
What did you do?
I had a box of.
That face betrays you.
It's a box. It's a box. It's a box of stuff. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Good. Who else?
Oh, I have all kinds of shit. Oh, I have all kinds of souvenirs.
I once ate my favorite picture of my ex so that then I could shit it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My God. Julie, that's so on
It
brand.
inspired our friend Josh, whose last name I won't include because I didn't ask for his consent to tell the story. But once upon a time, our dear friend Josh was in a play where a costume was designed for him that was basically unwearable, that like cut him and stuff. And he ate part of it. Inspired by Julie, he ate part of it so that he could shit it out.
Oh, jeez.
And so when I saw that little pouch
I
come
don't
out,
keep
I was
many
like, oh, I've been
souvenirs,
there.
but I've got a couple. I already can't wait to talk about that scene in Clueless because it is maybe my favorite scene in that entire movie. It's I think probably the most faithful adaptation moment,
Yeah.
and Brittany Murphy is so good in it. Anyway, it's a good scene. But pardon me, special guest hostess, please.
Okay, so yes. Cast it, yes. So just cast it into the fire, a wise and relieving thing to do. And now we're at the picnic. We're picking strawberries. Oh, okay, free skate at the picnic. Everybody go. It's a free skate.
That picnic.
Have any of you ever had an experience like this in your life? Because I have, and it wasn't
I've been
directed
the
at
Emma
me. I was
without
the
realizing
Emma.
it. Where
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Where
didn't know
you-
it was happening until it
you
had
think
happened,
you're
and then
bantering
it was just like,
and you go just too far and you don't know it.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's so humiliating later. Like when I look back on the entire 45 years of my existence, that moment is
Yeah.
always there. And I always feel shame and just cringe about it. It was
I
terrible.
assume,
Oh,
first of all, if you read Jane Austen's letters, she is a stone cold bitch
Saucy
sometimes.
Meeks.
She does not hold back. So it is not difficult to imagine that she was pulling from her own life and writing this moment because it's so relatable. You can feel it.
It's so real.
Like
yeah.
your stomach drop to your butt because the second you watch her start, Sophie Thompson. The second that she starts reacting, you can watch good old Goop go, oh God, oh wow, oh my God, I'm a monster. And she thinks that before Mr. Knightley is like, dude, what the fuck? What is
You
wrong
piece
with
of
you?
shit.
What the hell? Get it together. I know you're only 22, but for God's sake, why are you being such a dick? And then she's like, which relatable.
Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Oh, she's
Sophie
so good.
Thompson was so heartbreaking. So, as I said, my first experience with a film adaptation of Emma was 2019, and Miranda is amazing, but she doesn't hit it quite as hard or as deep this
Yes,
moment
yes,
because
go,
this
Julie,
moment
go.
is so important to the character of Miss Bates. Miranda is obviously humiliated and like has that kind of moment of trying to shush it away, but Sophie like goes even further into the like
Yeah.
She like analyzes herself in
Emma
real
must
time.
be right. Emma must be
Yeah.
right. She goes way further into
because
that
it's
part of it,
gradual.
which is more heartbreaking.
It grows.
See, I see what she means.
Yeah, she
Well,
she
and
like
it's like
figures it out.
in every word she says, she's like, "This is what she's saying." Oh, fuck! I can't.
And then it ends with an old
Friend.
fucking devastating. And then here's a line that I actually had been mishearing for over 1,000 views of this movie. When I like called my mom to be like, "This is the math I did on the podcast. Is it true?" She's like, Yeah, it's true. I was
She's
there,
like, by proxy, I have heard that movie over
yes.
1,000 times.
So here's a line reading. I think I didn't quite have my whatever British decoder tuned in, but then I had subtitles on today. But when Mr. Knightley, he actually says, who cares what I thought he was saying? She has watched you grow from a place where her notice of you was an honor.
Yeah.
Before he goes and say like humbling her and laughing at her in front of people who'd be guided by your treatment of her. But like, all right, we knew that, right? As Jeremy Northam tells us, she is poor, even more so than when she was born, and should she live to be an old lady, she will sink further still. And so like we all knew that like they used to have money, now they don't. But I don't think until today, like the idea that the Bateses, I almost said the Thompsons, which I mean, hey, that would be a great
that
honor
is them.
to be
Sure.
noticed by the
Yeah, that's
Thompsons.
also.
But
Yeah.
like, yeah, the Bateses being a get for Emma was a thing when Emma was small. Is just like reconfiguring my brain. Like I am the meme of the guy looking at science and like all the space is happening.
all the geometry is happening
Well,
around you.
Yeah,
She's
all
also-
the geometry in space. Yeah.
Jeremy Northam,
Just wow.
obviously, famously the villain from The Net, is also very good in this movie. And spoiler for The Net, I don't know if I've mentioned it before. Have I mentioned Sandra Bullock starring in The Net? Mozart's Ghost. He's
We almost have to
Mozart's
subtitle this
Ghost.
movie.
So
Mozart's Ghost, I
yeah.
think.
he's
Goop Emma
so
Mozart's
good.
Ghost.
And the
Yeah.
way that he reacts to that moment when he asks her to go, like, to honor him with her company is so rescuing Harriet Smith that you're immediately like, oh yeah, right. You're a fundamentally decent human being. It's not your fault you're rich. Like you're a fundamentally decent human being, because it makes it very clear that it's not just that he is having pity on her. It's that she is a lovely person who just talks too fucking much. Like she is obviously a kind, gentle, thoughtful, compassionate, caring person who just talks too damn much. I'm that person. I talk too damn much.
And it really, Emma.
Sorry, I'm questioning all my life choices. I'm realizing in real time that I'm a Miss Bates.
And who among us has not thanked someone for replacing the rivet in Mother's spectacles? Since then, not only have they been as good as new, they have been better. Like who has not fawned? Who has not spoken their fawning until like the steam falls out of their mouth?
Man,
like,
I told you guys I had the Miss Bates entire experience at my work picnic a couple of weeks ago. I just could not stop talking. And I don't know whether or not it is like pandemic discomfort or whether or not it was discomfort at being in a situation where I don't know a lot of my coworkers now because they got hired while we were all working from home. So I just could not shut my fat trap. And I definitely Miss Bates'd it.
Good. They all love you. Now there are like people on podcasts saying Julie Starbird.
She missed
We have to have a whole
it.
corner. We have to have a whole corner about how much we love her. So like that's
God.
fine.
She's so good in this scene. Ugh, I just want to give her another moment. Just
Also-
incredibly heartbreaking.
Like, okay, one more thing from the picnic that I think we have to talk about, and then we can go. Remember that one time Mrs. Elton left the picnic being thrown in her honor?
Yes!
Such diversions are tolerable at Christmas when one's around the fire, but in my opinion, they waste the outdoors. Like,
What a jerk.
And then shutting her little umbrella like, shoop.
yeah.
What a jerk.
And then
Parasol.
Misty, and then he has to like leave with her. Incredible.
What a jerk. And he's an old married man, is what he says
Yeah,
again.
he says that a lot.
Oh, what a
I'm an
jerk.
old, and you can
Married
always see,
man.
you can always see that maybe he's a little bit sad about it every time he says it.
He's like, he realizes he's made his bed.
Oh,
He's
I
like,
don't read it that way at all.
Maybe I
wow."
made a terrible mistake.
With nothing to say that
No.
could please Miss Woodhouse.
Oh, I
or
read it
any young
like-
lady.
What'd you read it like,
Oh, what?
Alison?
You think I couldn't get married? I got married. And she's fucking rich. And did you know she plays the piano? Married. I'm a married man. Married. I'm very married. Single, Emma. Married. I'm married. How's it going not being married, bitch?
Well, now
Yeah, but
she
she
a bigger
doesn't have-
butthole.
she doesn't have
Well,
any
until she
incentive
does.
to get married, though. Right?
Till she
Well, I
does.
mean, until she thinks about that sweet hot D that's attached to knight in shining armor.
Yeah. The night D.
The knight D. I mean, we've all been there. We've all
Working
been there.
on my night D.
That's what I'm going to call him now. Night D. Not nightly.
D.
Night D.
Night D.
Night D. That's the new nickname.
Okay, so we yada yada, and then Mr. Weston comes
Oh, huffing and puffing.
huff
Huffing
and
in.
puff, huff and puff, Emma. And what do we learn, friends? Tell us.
That knave of his son.
You know what?
Secretly engaged.
Scoundrel.
Emma is
Scoundrel.
right.
Let's
He
bring
did
back
not know
scoundrel.
that. He should be sorry. He did not know that she wasn't into him because she thought she was for a minute because she didn't understand the nature of love. It's fine. It happens. It's a mistake. She's correct.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Weston is like, but you're fine. She's like,
She's
yeah,
like,
but he didn't know I was going to be fine. She is correct. He is
Yeah.
indeed.
He's benefiting from a very
Piece of
lucky
shit. And you know who? And you know who
coincidence.
really
Yeah.
deserves an apology? Jane Fairfax.
jerk.
Good God, just the worst. Having been in more than one secret relationship in my life, never a good idea. Don't do it. Don't do it because the other person is inevitably going to find a way to make you feel like shit. Because fuck that guy.
Yep.
She had to watch him. Yeah, she had to watch him fawn all over Emma in service of like throwing
And
everyone
imagine
off the
all
scent or
imagine
whatever,
all
but
of the
ew.
conversations
Ew.
Like,
that she
it's
overheard where other people were talking about Frank Churchill and Emma Woodhouse. I mean, probably constant, right? Miss Bates alone,
Mm-hmm.
probably constant because that's
Yeah.
all they had to do was knit
Yeah.
and embroider
Yeah.
and gossip about their neighbors. Justice for Jane Fairfax.
Yeah,
She's
Frank
just
Churchill is the
a humble
worst.
girl
The
with a nice rack who
worst.
just wants to get married.
Truly.
She almost fell off a boat once. That was rough.
Yeah.
She's got this secret piano. She didn't even ask for a secret piano. Come on. No. Frank. Thank you next.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next. Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Really quick sidebar about the lighting in this movie. It's really interesting how sometimes the lighting choices seem both extremely deliberate or extremely, it's the 90s, we can't control the sun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's really cool. And sometimes I think they lucked into it looking really cool. And I was going to save this for later, but here I am halfway through it. But like, there is a cool use of it during the dueling pianos when Frank gets up to sing with Emma. And like, you can see like through over like blinds or slats or whatever the hell is on their windows where like Jane Fairfax's eyes are in shadow because she's so fucking angry. And like her eyes are all scrunched and like, what the shit? I can't believe I have to live through this. And then through scenes that we're actually about to get to. Yes, perfect. Okay, I did it. I stuck the landing. Because then, I mean, after Emma tries to go make up with the Bateses and they blow her off, which was completely understandable, she comes back and Mr. Knightley's like, I'm going to go visit my brother. And again, it's like late afternoon sun, highlighting weird cross sections of their body. So like Emma's neck is really well lit,
Yeah.
but not the rest of it.
Is that the one where she stepped into it and the whole circle like went down her face like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noted that and I was like, I can't tell whether I like that or
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
But I noted it. I was like, okay.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's
the
real
lighting was
pretty
really
when they
weird in
stand under
this.
that tree.
There's a lot of weird stuff. There was. I know
Anytime
when-
they're outside, it's fine. Anytime they're outside, it's fine. It's only when
Most-
they're in interiors.
Most
it
of
weird?
them. There was one or two trail walks that must have happened towards the end of a shooting day where like light was a little dim, and I think they put out a key light to try and like hit their faces a little hard, but then it flattened out the picture in my mind. So I don't know. There's a maybe being a little
Very
critical.
specific.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mr. Knightley leaves, and then, of course, Emma reveals to Mrs. Weston, sorry, Miss Taylor, who's Mrs. Weston? I don't know her. Sears Tower. Janine thought that revelation to Miss Taylor reminded him of Clueless, practically shot for shot. That's a note that I took during the crowdcast. Tell me more about that, Janine.
Well, and I gotta say, it felt like, there were a number of moments that just gave me hardcore Clueless vibes, right? Where, so that particular scene, I don't know if it was that one that felt super shot for shot exactly, but like there was when Harriet was confessing her love correctly, and that felt very much like the Brittany Murphy scene. There was the as if scene of like when he didn't know that also felt very much like a Clueless scene. So I know this was before Clueless or after Clueless.
After, right?
Which
Isn't
means
that what we
probably
established?
Yeah.
Same year,
produced
but
at about
just
the same
after.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there.
Same time. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that means like neither one informed the other, but for some reason these scenes and the energy in them it felt so what I remember of Clueless.
Is there a I love John, I hate John moment in Clueless? Because that really, I
That
loved
was good.
it. I wrote
that was
that
really
one down.
solid.
In which case, I love John, but then if he does this, I hate
John.
Oh, how could John let him do that? I hate John. Which was very deceptively used in the trailers, by the way. Like all the trailers for this movie were like Emma Woodhouse, handsome, dastardly, and whatever Janine said that she is.
Quick.
Like, and then it goes to quick. Thank you.
That was good.
I love John. I hate John. Who's John? Like to me, I was like, when is John going to show up? Like I remember my first viewing being like, well, I know that John is the man that she loves. No, bitch.
No, that's her brother-in-law.
You just got a
You're
bad.
right.
You got a bad cut of the trailer.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah.
Also,
Um.
speaking of Emma's
Oh,
emotional
God,
roller
okay.
coaster, I do want to pause at least briefly to recognize Emma replacing Harriet's portrait with a portrait of a dog. What the fuck, girl?
Yes.
That was way harsh,
What a
Emma.
fucking dog face. Norm Macdonald.
That
It
was
way hard.
very
Way
harsh.
hard.
That was definitely a lot. In the middle of the night where she's like, I have to do something. What are you gonna do in the middle of the night? You're gonna move a picture. Fucking cheap. Petty.
I mean, I
Petty.
tried not to think of him when I went to bed. Could have played very differently if this were, say, Bridgerton, which Jane
Yes.
Fairfax went on to become, a big cast member of. So good for her. Get that money.
Yeah.
But then basically TLDR, oh, interesting. Now Emma is out and about. She's praying to the Lord. If you can just say,
Oh my God.
Lord.
Just going to her family's church, going inside, dropping to her knees and saying, "Oh Lord, please keep him single," is so audacious and hilarious. Just like, I wouldn't mind if he just never married anyone.
Oh.
Just, dear God, if you're listening, it's me, Emma.
And then
Don't
God-
let Night D marry anyone.
Oh, I'm so glad that Night D is going to stick.
Oh, Night
Yeah,
D
this
is
is good.
on.
Night D is on.
And God apparently was listening because as she left that church, Night D was waiting for her.
Yep.
Well, accidentally.
That was
He-
my
he
favorite
came through
Jeremy
the
Northam
bushes.
scene.
He came through the bush.
Like a
That's right.
mysterious
He
poor
came through the
person.
bush.
He kind of did. This was my
Like a
favorite Jeremy Northam scene.
Poor person.
So good.
When he's too chicken shit to just fucking tell her right away. Like, what? You guys could see me. I was like, and
Yeah.
get to the point, Night D.
Oh. When she was like so pained, like maybe you shouldn't say it. Don't say anything at all. I was like, fuck you. I'm upset
It's
now.
not the
He
ground's
hit the
fault.
ground with his stick, and I
Yeah,
was like, that's how I
Night D.
feel. I feel that way.
No, he like,
Not yet.
Night D hitting some bush.
but then soon.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And then he's like, oh, no, it's
But
okay. I'll
then
just
they
come over
find
to
their
your
way
house.
together, and it's very sweet.
I want to stay where it's cozy,
It was-
but I'll go to your house.
Yeah.
Do you remember that foreshadowing with that camera
That was
movement?
his house.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that wasn't their house, was it? It was someone else's house? Was that?
that was his house in that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have a question. Mr. Knightley rules, and there is nothing that will change my mind. But there's a question that begs asking. Now, he says, like, I have humbled you, I have lectured you, and you have borne it as nobody could have borne it. Which, you take that by itself, is like, are you negging her? Like, have you been grooming this woman? Like, what's the deal? But then it follows up with, perhaps it's our imperfections that make us so perfect for each other, which is so charming, and then everything is fine. But, like, how do we feel about this dynamic overall?
Well, I mean, they're not brother and sister. I mean, let's just start at that base level.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And then take the age difference and know that he has been watching her grow up for a long time and probably has like dropped little nuggets on her but to try and craft her in whatever way he thinks is best.
I don't think it counts as negging.
There's a little bit.
Because if you're
But-
negging someone, it's emotionally manipulative. And what he is doing is just being the only person who tells Emma the fucking truth. So, I mean, the dynamic is definitely weird, but I don't think it's negging,
that is
because
true.
if that would be like if he was like, "Oh, Emma, that's a nice dress, I guess." That's negging. Here he's like, "Emma, you're a terrible person. Please get it together. Emma, would you read a fucking book? Emma, she's too tall. Why did you make her 6 foot tall? She's 5'2". Get it together. Emma, come on. Emma. Which is good. Everybody needs that person. Cute kissing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, right, there's cute kissing. It's marry me.
That was really nice.
Adorable.
I felt like we edged to that moment. I'm so glad we got there.
It really did take him a minute
Yeah.
to just fucking
Jesus
say
Christ.
what you mean, sir. Just say it.
Fucking hell.
He
And then
was
they
then-
scared.
Go ahead.
and then that pull out.
Yep.
Well, maybe that was the wrong words to use.
You have to stick with it now.
Well, yeah, so that pull away from the scene where they're underneath that tree, and this is one of those beautiful lighting moments where I think they got fucking lucky, because like I don't know how they would have lit that on purpose. Like the big tree with all this shade,
They
with this
waited
one like bright
hours and
spot
hours
of
and
light
hours.
above
Go, go,
them.
go, go, go!
Fucking beautiful.
And then, like waving the flag for Tom
No!
Longhands to
Get the
march
dolly
through
down!
the field.
Reset one more time. I just hurt my throat.
Oh, no.
And then is there anything kind of between that and them getting hitched? It's kind of like a
Well-
race to the finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like they had to tell everybody, and so people were happy, except there was one such
Oh,
person who's
Oh,
not
yeah,
so
poor Harriet.
whatever, gratefully employed. Also, I noticed that Mr. Knightley's waiting outside the door, like eavesdropping on Emma telling Harriet. And so, like, I hope to God that he comes in through a different door, because imagine being Harriet and fleeing, upset, and being like, "You dumped me, and now you're here."
you know, he probably Night D probably came through the back door.
This is why you're having all these problems at the alpaca shack, dude. Because you're making these dirty jokes on this podcast.
I
and
feel
they
like
just
I should
kind of
mention-
seeped into your.
I feel like I
entire
should
life.
mention
Like you
as
can't
a
help
This
clarifying
podcast
fact.
ruins lives.
that Julie, that's not a metaphor or a code word. He actually works at an alpaca shack.
He actually works at an alpaca shack.
It's
During
holiday
Christmas
season.
only. Holiday
Yeah,
season only.
I help out at
Seasonal
a-
work.
It's a seasonal thing I do with a friend, and it's but nonetheless. Anyway, so yeah, Night D.
Night D. Okay, one more moment where Emma does, where the Paltrow does really good moment. So she's in the greenhouse. Harriet comes in. Seems weeks you've been here. I've stayed away because I was afraid to tell you my news, and so I consented to marry Robert Martin. And then, bless her heart, Gwyneth Paltrow just perfectly says, "Whatever happened?
Why?
Why?" But right, we love this for her. And then, of course, we see the Messer and Mrs. Knightley doing so. Friends, how do we feel about the golden buttholes cut to like turn to camera?
I
As
did
the,
not like it.
Just that moment where you're like, I thought I hated you. Now I know I hate you.
But I just found it to be really jarring and like out of place with the rest of the film. And like she had already done such a good job. They didn't need to gild the lily. And
What,
so
But she was the narrator of the entire film.
No, Mrs. Weston. Sorry, who's she? Miss Taylor is that actress. Is the narrator for the rest of it.
It does.
This is why I'm
It's
so
strange.
fucking confused. Like, it makes it look like she was the narrator.
I mean, I
and
feel
it's
like they just
no.
wanted
does-
one
what
more
the fuck?
fun Mrs. E joke, but she could have just whispered that to somebody else. It just didn't need to be to the camera.
One more fart.
Not enough satin. Very
Yeah.
funny, but like just whisper it to somebody else, and then that person could be like,
No.
and then just walk away.
Shocking laugh.
Well, like when they show up at the ball
could
and
move to
everybody
somewhere
flees
else.
when they walk in the door.
That would have been
God,
so
it's
much better.
glorious.
That said, like every wedding we've been to, and also when we went wedding dress shopping like 2 weeks ago, my mother and I say to each other, "Shocking lack of satin." So, like, thank you, Juliet Stevenson, for all you've done. We love you so much. If you don't make it to the final four, I will light this podcast on fire. But
I
speaking
don't know
of threats,
how she wouldn't.
right? Thank you
No.
so much for letting me threaten my way into
Well, we value our
yelling
lives,
at you about this Emma for so long. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, yes.
We did a whole cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
Now that
Yes.
we're an actual kind of company, and I just need to bring this up real quick. Here's how I know we're real.
Oh,
We got a U-line catalog addressed to Podlander.
man,
So you guys, storage solutions.
we've really made it, haven't we?
Yeah, some box knives, some scales. Like you need it. Yeah.
Hey, you know what we also
we
always
need
need?
scales.
Yeah.
For
You
people
know
to find
what?
us on Facebook at
Girl, you're right.
facebook.com/PodlanderCast. They can also find us on Twitter at PodlanderCast or on Instagram at, where can they find us, Amelia?
They can find us at Sickburn Jane, at Podlandercast, or if you want all of your network news in one place, Podlander Presents.
We're doing some fine reporting.
Sure.
You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/PodlanderDrunkcast, where you can support the show and get all kinds of fun bonuses, including our new series, What Now?
What now?
Why not?
Which I'm very excited about. We want to thank all of our patrons who make it possible for us to do the show that we love, and for us to get Uline catalogs. It's all thanks to you guys.
Truly.
We thank all of you, but especially the following lovely folks. Just Bree, Catspaw156, Maddie Perkins, Snazzy Knock, Lisa Brand, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Madison Johnson, Emily Day, Betsy English. That's my favorite section. Hold on, one more time. Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Madison Johnson, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Ashley Tikas, and Kristen Freckled Fury. That's my favorite, like that stretch. Laura Colm, special guest host, Amelia Bazell, Liz and Tinkerbell, Stella Welch, Tori Halligan, Claire Feeney, Rochelle Lefevre, Amanda Smizazazaza, Heather Robbins, Jerry Hurdle, Emily Carlson, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantel Soldiers, Mary the Falling Statue, Kiara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, a.k.a. Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Gianna Polkowski, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Trish McCrary, Julie DeToit, Jen Lynn, Kelly Bodden, Amanda Newton, and Kiki. Thank you so much. We will be back doing something. I don't know what yet. But there will be more Emma, and there will also be Christmas stuff. And then also possibly an episode where we talk about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas and pretend it's an adaptation of Emma. TBD. Bye.
Bye.